I want to talk to you about the tallest tree in the world. This tree is so tall that in 2006, it was measured to be about 380 feet tall. The tree is about 53,000 cubic feet with a diameter of about 25 feet. It's estimated to be about 2,700 years. That's a lot of time. The tree, some of them are estimated to have lasted over 4,000 years. How can a tree be so tall, so huge, and last for such number of years? What is the secret behind the strength of this tree? Now, the most amazing thing about the tree is that the roots doesn't go very deep into the soil, just about 5 to 6 feet. How then is it able to overcome all the terrible blizzards, windstorms, and earthquakes through the years and remain? This tree is called the Securities Redwood, and is found mostly around California in the United States. The oldest and tallest redwood present is estimated to be over 2,800 years and is still standing. So the question is, if the root doesn't go deep into the soil, how then is it able to sustain itself through the years, grow so tall, become so big, and is still standing? The answer to that question gives us a light into what makes greatness possible, whether as a person or as a society. Like the theme song says, we still have a lot of problems to solve in Africa. And we have gathered today because we have chosen to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. So it is important that we begin to understand how we can make that happen. You all will agree with me that if a person keeps using the same approach to solve a problem over the years, and the results haven't changed, and he continues on that path hoping that somehow it will get better, that's the real definition of foolishness. Meaning, if our results if our result is not consistent with our expectations, we must therefore resolve today to apply new rules, new ideas, new principles that will bring change, sustainable change in Africa. We have hungry mouths that must be fed. We have children that are out of school that must be put back to the school. We have families languishing in poverty. We must choose today to understand that these are our responsibility. But to do that, we need to understand how societies thrive and make progress. What is the strength of the redwood? The strength of the redwood is not about how deep its root is into the soil. It doesn't go deep. It's not about whether earthquakes are devastating. They are very devastating. It's not about whether the blizzards are frigid enough. They are very frigid. That tells us that the circumstances of a man's life or the circumstances in an environment are not enough to determine the outcome of a person's life or a society or a nation. We might have many challenges in Africa, but I have never been more confident today. I have never been more confident as I am today that this too will pass. The strength of the redwood tree lies on the fact that every redwood is somehow connected to another redwood. It has what is called a shared root system. Because as the tree begins to grow, the roots begin to spread, and they can spread up to 100 meters on the surface. And when it comes in contact with another redwood, it gets connected to it, and they become twisted together. Meaning that every redwood you can think of anywhere is somehow connected, whether they are alive or they are dead. So they have a shared root system that gives them sheer strength. It is this sheer strength that enables them to overcome the challenges that brings other trees down. What is the lesson we can learn from this? It means that as a society, as a nation, and as a continent, we must first understand that no matter what tribe or tongue we might have come from, we are one people. We are not a collection of Yorubas and Igbos and Ijaws and Fulanis and Hausas. We are one people called Nigeria. We are one people in Africa. So we must begin to let the lines of tribe dissolve in our hearts. We have to come to a point when the Igbo man can say the Hausa man as his friend, his brother, one family. It is only then that we can begin to look at our situations as one family and have different results. Like I said, we are not recollections of houses and Igbos and Fulanis and Ijaws or Ibibios. We are one people, one family. Like the Redwood, we must understand that we are one and be willing to connect ourselves together beyond ethnic lines, irrespective of the language that we may be speaking. If the Redwood is able to overcome the challenges it faces in the environment and thrive because of a shared root system, what about us? Let us here now resolve to begin to dissolve the ethnic lines among us. Let us understand that we are one people, one Africa. We are, first of all, human beings. So let us find the humanity in each and every one of us. Let us see the strong as our partners in solving the same problems, and the weak among us as our responsibility. No nation, no successful nation succeeds by thinking for himself, by everyone thinking for himself. That means that the tallest redwood tree in the world is as tall as it is, standing the trials of time because it has and enjoys the support of every other redwood. So we must come to a point that we understand that the possibilities we have are limitless when we recognize that the support of each and everyone in the society will help us overcome the challenges we have. We are one people. We are not a collection of people. Secondly, is the importance of responsibility in a society. We live in a society where nobody wants to take the blame, where everyone else is strong and everybody else expects everybody else to solve the problem. So we choose to complain and blame and make excuses. But one thing is certain: successful people don't complain. Successful people don't make excuses. Successful people don't blame others. Successful people, great people, take responsibility for the problems in the society. In Africa, somehow that's not the way we approach life. Everybody else wants somebody else to solve the problem. So when the pipe breaks up, somebody says, what have they done about it? The question is, who are they? It is time for us to begin taking responsibility for the problems in Africa, for the problems in the society. They are our problems. My problem, your problem. The redwood thinks that way. That's why it is willing to lend support to every other redwood. So you cannot be completely happy when somebody else is crying. You cannot rejoice when someone else loses something, because this is you. So we must understand the importance of taking responsibility for the problems we have in the society. Nobody else will solve the problems for us. It is people that are alive in this century, in this continent, in this nation, at this time, that will solve the problems at this time. People that lived in 1800 or 1900 cannot solve the problems in 2019. We must therefore take responsibility for change. That means no matter what you do, No matter what your career or your job might be, you have to understand that this is a vehicle for creating change, a vehicle for bringing end to the challenges we face as a people. Your vocation is not to make money, it is to solve problems. To move the world forward, we have to understand that the world in all its trouble has always moved forward. But movement and success doesn't happen on its own. It's happened by the thoughts and actions of people that take responsibility for change. People that look at the way things are going and say, no, we can change it because this is not what it should be. That is the thought pattern we all must assume today. Because to change the problems in our society, we must take responsibility for change. We can bring an end to civil wars and militancy and secession movements and hunger and poverty in Africa if every one of us begin to think of what I can do to bring a change, not what they can do, not what the government can do. We have to understand that when the government fails, it means that, see, the government of African nations do not come from Europe or Asia or America. They are African. They arose from among us. Meaning that if we as a people, if I as a person do not take responsibility, if I don't have the culture and attitude of responsibility, even if I become the president of Nigeria, I still will act in a manner consistent with my character. So we must take responsibility for change. The problems you see today are yours to solve. It is not another person's problem. Thirdly, we must understand the importance of sheer strength. Nobody wins alone. Nobody succeeds alone. We are here together as a family. And you can benefit from my strength. I can benefit from your strength. Therefore, we must look beyond the temporary satisfactions that comes from money or fame and the rest of that, and accommodate the weak. The weak, I said, we must take as our responsibility. The strong we must see as our partner. So when I give a strong man my handshake, my hand of partnership, let him understand that this is for the purpose of moving the world forward. For the weak among us, we must lift up. They are our responsibility. The beggars on the street are our responsibility. Nobody else's responsibility. Finally, we must think about sustainability. The reason why the Redwood is able to sustain its strength is simple. It is because everyone is involved. Everyone is a part of it. So you don't neglect the problems you can solve today for the coming generations. Some of the challenges we face today are here because those that went ahead of us neglected the challenges they would have solved. We cannot let it pile up. I believe in my heart that we have the power, the zeal, the ability, the intelligence, the capacity to bring in a new day, to make a change that will last, that will be sustainable when we start thinking family, when we start thinking about sheer strength, when we think about sustainability, when we think about taking responsibility for change. This is what I'm calling every one of us to join hands together. Let us build a great and sustainable Africa. Thank you very much.